For Montana East Regional News, this is Emily Boyles. Merry Christmas 2012. This year, for our Christmas program, we offer to you excerpts from volumes found in the Montana Room at the Glendive Public Library with special Christmas stories from years past. Long before the internet and Cyber Monday, and certainly before the retail days of Black Friday, came the fall with the arrival of the Sears catalog. Even I remember the wish book that would come every fall, and so did Charles Beardsley in his poem, The Wish Book, which was published in Little Chicago of the West out of Ismay, Montana, compiled by Mary Howigan. The Wish Book by Charles Beardsley. It was late summer the winter wish book came, filled with all the dreams our little hearts could wish for. Last year's wish book was then sent to the outhouse where all the soft gray sheets of harness and farm tools were the first to go, leaving behind the shiny colored sheets of fancy women's clothing. Oh, the wonders of the new wish book. We selected all the things our little hearts would have for those we loved. In our hearts we knew it could not be. The hired man worked for $1 a day, the hired girl for room and board. Sometimes all the money in the house came from selling eggs at 5 cents a dozen or a quart of cream for 20 cents. The rampant glory of our dreams were stronger than reality. A shiny kitchen stove, all black and glistening with the glow of nickel for our mother, with a cost of $24. A sable fur-lined greatcoat for $50 for our father. A warm cloth coat with caracal collar for $18 for Sister Elizabeth. For Brother John, a hunter's watch with an antlered stag upon its case. For me, just books. I did not desire any other thing, for with books I had adventures, growth, and travel. For Brother Dick, a wind-up train and track for just $2. For little Edgar, a little trike with a glistening bell for just $4. On late Christmas evening, our father climbed to the roof of the high tower and, risking life and limb, stomped to the roof, shouting, "Ho, ho, ho," and ringing sleigh bells. We cuddled in our little feather beds and dreamed of all the happy things the Christmas morning would bring. And with excitement, the early Christmas morn found us screaming down the stairs from the cold snow-sifted loft to find our gifts for each upon his chair. All the little gifts our parents and our family could afford, they were just as great as the glories of the wish book. The book 100 Years in Culbertson, 1887 to 1987, brings us this winter tale. The John McDonalds, one of the 3 earliest homesteaders in Plentywood, remembered the winter of 1906 when they had moved to Culbertson. The McDonald children finished high school that year and waded through snowdrifts so deep the farmers could drive to the top of haystacks and load from them. When supplies ran low, it was often necessary for a homesteader to brave the extreme winter weather to get to market. Henry Servood, an early Dagmar settler, traveled after dark hauling grain to market in Ambrose, North Dakota, about 1910. He was walking behind his horses and sleigh one evening, struggling to keep warm in the bitter cold. Praying that a blizzard would not set in, he thought of a placard hanging on his homestead shack that held one sentence of the hymn, "Lead Kindly Light." He sang the song as he kept walking, resting on the sleigh runners occasionally. The song comforted him, and soon his prayers for safety were answered. Drifting snow sometimes delayed him, but the hard-packed snow from previous sleigh runners guided him. He could not make out the horizon, the sky, the hills, fences, graded roads, telegraph or telephone lines, or any light for a long time. He could only tell when he was going uphill or downhill. He only had a poorly fitted overcoat and cotton clothing, not nearly warm enough for 20 below weather. Finally, he saw the lights of town. Servood, like many other homesteaders, knew his faith would pull him through. After unhitching the horses at the livery barn and eating a good meal, he dropped off to a thankful sleep at the local hotel. Next Year Will Be Better by Arthur C. Larson follows the saga of a family who tried and tried and tried again to make it in farming in Sheridan County. Christmas time, though, they tried to make the best for their children. Here's an excerpt. Jovial home and community Christmas festivities helped to break the long, cold winter. For weeks at home and in school, we've been preparing for the holidays. Packages came from aunts and uncles and grandparents in Wisconsin and Minnesota. We begged Mama to open them, but she was firm and said, "It is written on the packages, do not open until Christmas." The packages were hidden away. Mama had been busy baking an assortment of Danish Christmas cookies. In Roosevelt School, the school we attended, we rehearsed our Christmas songs, our dialogues, and our monologues, which we called pieces, in preparation for the evening program. It was the last day of school before Christmas vacation. Classes had not been held during the day because we were getting the schoolhouse ready for the program. This was exciting. Pasted paper chains in red and green hung from the corners of the room and met in the middle. Crayon-colored and painted drawings decorated the blackboards and walls. Pictures of evergreens had been pasted on the windows. It had been fun getting everything ready. School was dismissed early. As a final word, Miss Olson said, "Now, class, remember your parts and tell your parents that the program begins at 8 o'clock. That night, we started the chores earlier than usual and worked faster than was our ordinary pace. Then we dressed in our best. Papa wore his black suit and white shirt with a stiff collar. His open coat showed the watch cord across his vest. The cord was made of Mama's braided brown hair. In the middle of the cord was a locket with Mama's picture inside. Mama wore a white blouse and black pleated skirt that reached to her ankles. Edith wore a plaid below-the-knee length dress. We boys were dressed in our blue serge suits. The knickerbockers reached to our knees. Boys were not supposed to wear long pants until they were confirmed. The program was ready to begin. Miss Olson welcomed the parents. She hoped they would enjoy the program because we had worked hard on its presentation. We were 24 students representing 8 grades of this elementary school. As we listened to Miss Olson, I am sure that our greatest fear was that we would not remember our lines and thereby embarrass ourselves and our parents, whom we knew would be watching and listening with anxiety and pride. The program began. The first number was the traditional "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." It was recited by Selma Dalgard. Born in Denmark, she had absorbed little of the English language. This was probably because her parents always spoke Danish and her associations were mostly with Danish-speaking children. Sometimes she was taunted by the other students who said she was so Danish that her face resembled the map of Denmark. She walked from the front row to the middle of the stage, bowed, and in her Danish accent began the poem. Everyone in the audience gave her uninterrupted attention. After all, this was Christmas, and a Christmas spirit prevailed, preventing any sign of ridicule. There was generous applause and whispers of approval after each number. When the program had finished, cake, coffee, and hot chocolate were served. The party ended with parents wishing one another good night and a Merry Christmas in English or in Danish, depending on which language was best suited to those attending. There was shaking of hands by all. Everyone had enjoyed the evening, and we felt that the Christmas season had begun. Even in the 1800s, soldiers defending our country had to be far away from home. Our final excerpt is from Camp Talk, the very private letters of Frederick W. Benteen of the 7th U.S. Cavalry to his wife, written between 1871 and 1888 by John M. Carroll. Christmas Creek, Christmas night, Camp 7th Cavalry, 5 miles west of Berthold, 1877. My dear Chickabiddy, I am en route and hope to be with you on New Year's night, though to do so shall have hard marching. I have 167 Cheyennes, 222 ponies, and a poor train, but weather, i.e. Providence permitting, shall get with you about that time. I have no news. You will get 3 letters by this mail, all written hurriedly on the road. The plains are covered with deep snow, and there is no wood at this camp. However, we brought what we could from the last one, but that was little. Had 2 very cold days, but got through all right. Tom holding his own, indeed giving me quite a satisfaction last night. I am well and hope to keep from catching cold, as that is about the most disagreeable thing I have to fear. Bought a 14.5-pound turkey and 3 dozen eggs on the road this evening for $4, and had scrambled eggs for supper, preparing it, getting in a little late, and being hungry, I whooped them up and made them very palatable. It wasn't much of a Christmas feast, but 'twas the best we could do. As this doesn't go off till tomorrow from Stevenson, where I camp tomorrow night, we'll keep it over for any news I may pick up. So good night, your devoted Fred. These stories were each gifts found in volumes in the Montana Room at the Glendive Public Library. From all of us at Montana East Regional News, to all of you, Merry Christmas. For Montana East Regional News, this is Emily Boyles.